What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more content for you guys today. And earlier in the week, we got the first look at ANGE in a 3-2 loss against West Ham. But it wasn't all bad, because we saw some really nice things happening on that football pitch. Some attacking play, penning West Ham in, especially in that second half, and not letting them have a moment's rest. But we did lose the game, and the kind of old problems were rearing their head with the defensive frailties and everything like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to take a deeper look into what happened on that pitch and seeing what things we did notice in our first sight of ANGE.
Yeah, so just when ANGE got appointed, we did a little breakdown into what we can expect to see under Ange Postecoglou and his kind of formations, how he likes to build up his play, how he likes to set up the team. And obviously this is based on what we saw at Celtic and what we saw potentially in Australia and Japan. But we got to first look at ourselves in an actual game, what Postecoglou's looking to do, how Tottenham did set up, and how we were able to create chances, and what Postecoglou's ideas were. So we've got a tactics board, and we got some screenshots of the game against West Ham to kind of see what we're looking at under Postecoglou in our kind of first inklings of how he wants to do things. So if we go to the tactics board, this is basically, we saw under Postecoglou, this is basically the lineup that we saw, 4-3-3, although obviously, under Postecoglou, the 4-3-3 looks very different. It's basically something similar to this. The 4-3 morphs into something like that, a build-up of a 2-3-5 with the fullbacks inverting. So if we take a screenshot of what we saw against West Ham, you can see here, apologies, there's Solomon is at the bottom of the left, but I'm kind of covering him, but you can see here, Tanganga is over there, Romero's over here, you've got the two inverted wing-backs in the centre, Basuma right in the middle, you've got Skip and Maddison in the number 8s, and you've got Kulusevski and Solomon wide. Kane has actually dropped deeper in this picture, but you can see basically the build-up in this situation. That is how Postecoglou likes to build up his team. So that's pretty self-explanatory. Again, you see it here. Unfortunately, Tanganga's actually cut off, but you see Romero here, Reguilon and Porro inverting, Basuma in the centre, Maddison and Skip as your number 8s, with Kulusevski, Kane and Solomon in the front three. So that's basically what we're seeing as I don't know what's happened. Sorry, as Postecoglou wants to build up, and essentially how we move forward. It's quite interesting what we saw from Postecoglou, because how we move forward in the attacking rotations, there's actually quite a lot of fluidity how we like to attack, but it's something which I heard Sean describe. I don't know if Sean got this from somewhere, but I heard Sean describe it as rigid fluidity. So it means, like, essentially, if we take here, we've moved this animation along. So when Porro basically moves forward into the half space, he's inverted. You've got Kulusevski out wide here, and you've got Skip inside. But sometimes what will happen is Porro will go out wide, Skip will drop, and Kulusevski will go inside centrally. So they will kind of be rigid in where they're in the system, but it will be fluid in terms of who's where, and that keeps things unpredictable.
Yeah, so when you're looking at that setup and that attacking setup the way it looks right now, in terms of players which it can suit and maybe which players it won't suit, in terms of Ollie Skip being as that kind of number 8 that was asked to rotate with Porro, Kulusevski and himself, I mean, I don't think that's probably the best position for Skip, and I think we saw some ways where he was arriving in the box, but the quality wasn't there. So are you of the same thinking of me, as maybe like Skip isn't one where it would really suit to have him as a number 8 like that?
Well, what I would like to see is, instead of Porro inverting, I would like to see Skip kind of drop back, see Porro out wide and Kulusevski more central. And I actually thought we got a lot more joy in those areas when we in the time that we did see that. I think Porro enjoys being out wide more. I think Skip did do some of the running as a number 8, but wasn't able to really be effective when he did get the ball in those positions. I don't think he's so comfortable in the forward areas. I think he's more comfortable in a bit deeper position. And I think Kulusevski is more comfortable in the central area, and that's where his best work came, I felt, in the game as well.
But that's what I'm saying is, like, once we get a player there, like that has the quality of maybe a Lo Celso, an Ndombele, even a Bissouma, I would prefer there than Ollie Skip, and Bentancur when he comes back. You know, we've got players on our roster that do suit those roles, but I just feel like Skip in our squad might be the least suited to it, to be fair.
I think it's going to take some adapting for him, but I think he's more of a number 6. That's what I think he is, to be honest. I think Conte tried to make him more attacking as well. It didn't quite work. I think he prefers to be in the positions where he can keep things simple. He doesn't have to attack too much. Another screenshot again, perfectly displaying how Postecoglou likes to play. You've got Tanganga Romero at the back. You've got Solomon on the left. You've got Kulusevski on the right there. This time Maddison is pushed up next to Kane, and you've got the inverted wing backs. You've got literally Reguilon, Porro, and Bissouma. It looks like a 4-3-3 with them as midfielders.
Yeah,
and look how high up Romero and Tanganga are, right on the halfway line. This is 10 minutes in. It looks like a 4-3-3 with Bissouma, Porro, Reguilon in a 3, and almost like Solomon, Kulusevski, Maddison, Kane, and Skip, almost like a front 5.
And that's why it's so fun to watch, because it's like you're so pressed up so far up the pitch, everyone's running everywhere, and it's like controlled madness in a way. And with the players flying forward, it does kind of send a bit of Ozzy Ardiles vibe with a bit more kind of structure to the play. And that kind of brings, like, as much as we needed better defenders in a Conte system and a Jose system, this system needs it even more so, because you're going to be so caught out at the back if we persist with the defenders that we have.
Yeah, and it just pushes their defence back, and it just always means like how when a player gets the ball, they have options. How many times under Conte and Jose were we in possession in the opposition's half, and they're just isolated?
Yeah.
Kulusevski doesn't have options. Kane just isolated. He's got no one to play. It's either play it backwards or hope for a through ball to Son. Otherwise, he's got no options, and that's going to hopefully be completely different. You even see in the second half, again, very similar. You got Sanchez and Ben Davis at the back there. You got Emerson, Højbjerg, and Udogi inverted as a midfield 3, and you've got Sarr, Lo Celso, Perisic. Sarr, Lo Celso as midfield 2. You've got Richarlison, who's dropped back a bit, and then you've got Perisic and Divine's off screen right now. So again, the formation's very clear, and it's also good to see that we changed the whole 11, and still they're getting to grips with the structure of the team.
What I noticed in his Celtic team when Kyogo Furiashi was their number 9, right? And he was very pushed up high up the pitch, and he was probably, I think, on the heat map, probably the highest, or when you look at the positions on the pitch, the highest on the pitch at all times. But that's not what we saw in this game, because Kane was dropping deep a bit, and you see there Richarlison, he wasn't dropping anywhere near as deep as Harry Kane does. So do you think that was just like Harry Kane reverting to maybe what he has done under Conte, or do you think that was more of an instruction from Postecoglou?
No, I think that's Kane doing his own thing. I think he's so used to doing it and dropping deep because he likes to get involved in the game. I think Kane has to learn that he doesn't have to drop deep as much to get involved in the game as he used to, if he's going to stay anyway, but that's another conversation. But under Conte and Mourinho, we were so starved with the ball, and we had so little options in possession. He always had to come deep to get the ball and get involved in it. Otherwise, he was going to be isolated and not be involved. But under Postecoglou, it's a completely different story. It's going to be players around him. He's going to have Maddison and stuff like that. So I think it's something he's have to learn. I think Richarlison did a good job in being that and trying to get beyond the last man. And stuff
absolutely. I mean, he was always there on the shoulder of the defender. Some more times than not past the shoulder of the defender. But that's another point entirely. But I think, like, when you're looking at an Ange system, what we saw so far against West Ham and what we've seen his manager in the SPL and for Celtic, I just feel like a striker, obviously you're never going to take Harry Kane out of the team because of the calibre of the striker. He actually is one of the best strikers in the world. But I just feel that a Postecoglou team is more suited to a striker like a Richarlison as opposed to a Harry Kane.
Yeah, I think a Kane maybe of 5 years ago, I would say he could do the job, perfectly do the job of what Postecoglou's asking, running in behind. But he doesn't run in behind as much anymore as he used to, and he's going to have to adapt his game if he's going to be the perfect fit for Postecoglou. Unless either he adapts his game or we adapt around him, and that means if he's going to drop deep, we have to make sure players are filling in that space that he's even behind. We have to continue to have that threat in behind. So someone like Maddison has to make the run, or another player, whoever it is, has to vacate the space that Kane's leaving. At the moment, Kane's kind of dropping deep, and then all of a sudden, instead of someone vacating the space, we're not having anyone in behind. But again, it was only 45 minutes in his first friendly.
Yeah.
One thing I found interesting, this is very early on. So if you see, this is the chance Ollie Skip had quite after 6 minutes. It was set up by Manor Solomon. You see at the moment there's on screen, you have Solomon, Skip, Kane, Kulusevski, backed up by Maddison and Porro. So you've got 6 players there in the attack. But what's interesting is Fabianski saves the ball and it gets bounced out, and all of a sudden, 10 seconds later, there is 9 players in and around the penalty area, which is what Postecoglou wants. He doesn't want attacks to kind of peter out, and when a chance is gone, all of a sudden you're retreating. Like, I think under Conte, if we miss a chance or a chance was saved, all of a sudden there's this immediately get back. But now a chance is missed, but then you've got Maddison, you've got everyone apart from Romero and Vicario essentially. In and around the penalty box.
There's Tanganga there as well.
Tanganga's just behind you, sorry, he's there, but he is there. Tanganga's there backing up. You've got Basuma on the ball here. You've literally got 9 players trying to basically sustain the attack and press West Ham, and that's something that's going to be completely new.
Yeah, it's going to be carnage, to be honest. I think it's all about sustaining the attack and never stopping. As Ange said constantly at Celtic, we don't stop. And this is a kind of good barometer of it, right? Everyone's pressed up right out of the pitch, trying to pen West Ham in. But the dangers are going to come is when they kind of beat that press. And when they beat that press, they're literally going to be on one player. And that kind of exuberates the need, or that makes the need for quick defenders even more kind of pressing in this system.
And leading on to that exact point, so this is us having 9 players forward just after Skip misses a chance, and West Ham actually do end up winning the ball in this situation, leads to this situation here.
Exactly.
So this is a few seconds later, West Ham come away with it. Bowen obviously has got acres of space. There's Romero, pretty much the lone defender. And you, as you say, you've got a 3-on-3 here. You've got a defender, I think Porro, that is tracking back. But that's the situation we might find ourselves in. I wouldn't say often, but when we do end up losing the ball or miss chances.
I think it could be often.
It might be often early on. Hopefully not. But this is the perfect reason why we need strong defenders who are able to have recovery pace and be good in one-on-one situations. Because if you are committing 9 players forward in an attack like that and you do end up losing the ball, this is the end result.
And you go back to his Celtic days, Ange Postecoglou. Okay, fine, they didn't concede that many goals, but they still conceded a fair amount of goals, and it was kind of a bit rare. I wouldn't say rare, but it didn't happen as often as maybe a Celtic manager would have liked for Celtic to keep a clean sheet in the SPL, where apart from Rangers, they're by far the best team in that league, where you expect them to make a lot more clean sheets than they did last season. And the way he sets up is a big reason because of that.
Yeah, definitely. Other screenshot, this is when we do get our fullback wide, how it looks in terms of which players in the box. So this is Reguilon crossing the ball into the box. There you see we've got 5 players in the box, including Manor Solomon. You've got Kane, Maddison, you've got Ollie Skip and Kulusevski. So definitely, I remember how many times did we see under Conte, a wing back would get into the byline or get a crossing position, and he literally just had Kane to aim at pretty much, or maybe Kane and Son, or very little.
Sometimes not even Kane, because Kane was coming back from dropping deep.
Yeah, but you didn't really see Højbjerg and Bentancur that much in the penalty area to try and attack the cross. Now I think a lot of the time when we get a fullback wide, getting the ball in, you're going to see both centre mids and the forwards as well trying to get on the end of things, and you can see that again. And then this is the obviously falls to Kulusevski, but again in this one shot, Reguilon's right at the bottom of the screen because he just crossed it. You've got 7 players in that attack. You've got Kulusevski and the shot. You've got Porro backing him up here as well. Just out of shot, you've got Basuma as well backing him up. So this is definitely going to be the plan this season. Like when we have those chances, Like sometimes you see when a team sustains an attack, even though it gets cleared, they just keep going on and keep hounding them. Sometimes you think it's luck that it keeps falling to the players in a white shirt or the players on their team, but it's because of the risk they're taking, committing the numbers forward, which we weren't doing before.
Yeah, and the result of that is going to be a less reliant team on Harry Kane. We've been so over-reliant on Harry Kane for goals, for assists, to make anything, basically anything good that we've been doing in an attacking sense over the past around 2-3 years has all been centered around Harry Kane. And we've been so over-reliant on Harry Kane, it's actually been a joke. Now in this system, with the players that we're going to have flooding in the box, obviously we're going to still be reliant on Kane because he's an absolute world-class player, but we're not going to be over-reliant on Harry Kane, and the goals are going to be shared around a bit more. And that makes me think, like, obviously I don't want to get rid of Harry Kane, but this could be a good opportunity for us with this new system to maybe look past the Harry Kane. Obviously, I don't want that to happen, but if it comes to it and Bayern Munich stump up the money or he wants to leave or anything like that, it might not be the end of the world.
It just gives you confidence that we can survive without him. And yes, it's taking 30 goals away, and yes, he's a world-class striker, but if you get the feeling under Conte and Mourinho, it was more about individuals in terms of how we were going to score and how we were going to break the opposition's defence. But here it's more about a cohesive attacking unit, more about the team.
But I think we need to stop looking at it as in we're taking away 30 goals out of the team, because we're not playing the same system anymore. It's a completely different kettle of fish. So you're going to have the goals all shared around the team, and it's not going to be just Harry Kane scoring anymore. That's not what we're about anymore.
Oh, I hope so. I mean, it's only been
no, but in this system, you got to think that it's the goals are going to be shared around.
Yeah, for sure. It's not going to be. You're not solely reliant on one guy to bang in the goals. Like you saw how reliant we were on Kane to not just score but create
everything,
as well.
Everything.
And that's not going to be. We're not going to rely on a player. We're going to be relying on a system now.
In defence as well, to be honest, we were reliant on Harry Kane
exactly.
at times.
So this goes to show when this is Porro basically inverting from the half space. You've got 6 players in and around the. You've got 5 players in the box and 2 backing him up. So you've got Porro and Reguilon inverting here with Basuma being the anchor. You've got Kulusevski out wide. You've got Skip. You've got Kane running at the back post. You've got Maddison in the box, and you've got Solomon there as well. So we're going to be seeing a lot of that, even with the fullback isn't completely out wide. Even when they're inverted and crossing in the half space, which I think Porro could be very good at. Then look, we're still committing lots of players forward, and I think they've definitely been told when Porro's winding up for a cross, make sure you're in the box to try and make the most of it.
And I think what we're going to see from Porro this season is maybe a bit of what we saw at the back end of the season from Trent Alexander-Arnold last year, because I don't think his quality is as good as Trent, obviously, because Trent is just another level. But he does have that quality, that ball-playing ability that is one of the best in our team. Maybe he's up there in the Premier League as well. And I think using him in those half spaces like Liverpool were doing with Trent in the second half of last season, I think it could work wonders.
And also look how push back the West Ham defences. Look how much space there is outside the box for Reguilon, Basuma and Porro to exploit, because when Porro picks the ball, they're flooding the box. It pushes all their defenders back. Literally, I think they've got how many players? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They've got 8 players in their box, West Ham, because they're just so pushed back. They're so worried about what we're going to do. And that's how you're going to create space for your attackers. Like under Conte, it was all about drawing the opposition in from our own half, and here it's like we're not going to draw you in, we're going to push you back in your own box, and that's going to be so exciting.
It's interesting to see how this works. I know it won't count for this phase, but when you start from the back, right, and Spurs will play out from the back against West Ham, they did not press us one bit. They just let us play out the back. It's going to be a completely different kettle of fish when we are pressed and we are asked to maybe beat a press from the back.
It's going to be different, but what we were doing under Conte when we tried to beat a press is basically Bentancur and Højbjerg both literally come on the edge of our own box, and we'll try and play our way through. And it did work occasionally, but now with the inverted fullbacks and the centre mids going to be progressed up the pitch, like they're going to be a lot more worried about that. You can't just leave the 2 centre mids like up the pitch as freely as before, like when we had Højbjerg and Bentancur, they knew where they were. So I think it's going to help us in the build-up, in my opinion, especially when you've got a press resistance player like Basuma.
I mean, everything that we talk about just highlights the need for top quality centre backs to come in, and like if we don't get these top quality centre backs in for the new season, I worry for us massively.
Definitely, because they're going to be heavily reliant on having quality in the build-up and on the ball. This is just a screenshot of how we're actually going to line up off the ball, not just on the ball. So this is West Ham at a goal kick, and you can see Spurs going into a 4-4-2 shape. You've got Maddison basically partnering Harry Kane in the press, pushing up. You've got Solomon and Kulusevski kind of managing the wide areas, and then Basuma and Skip in the double pivot kind of screening any balls into the central midfielders. Just off screen on the right, you got Porro, who's about to push forward and mark this the winger as well, the right winger, and then Reguilon on the near side marks it. So it's literally man for man essentially off the ball, the pressing. And I felt like the difference when under Conte, when we attempted to press, which was rare, you just literally had Kane up against like two centre backs trying to do it himself. And I think here, when you adding two strikers, so going into the 4-4-2 shape is really going to help us basically cover as much space as possible.
And that defensive shape, or that defensive attacking shape, is very reminiscent of maybe a Man City, who also go completely man for man in the defensive transitions in the other team's half.
Yeah, and this is, I guess, where when you talk about players like not so much Lo Celso, because I think Lo Celso can do this role what Maddison's doing here, but if Ndombele is asked to do like what Skip is doing here, go man for man and basically engage aggressively in this kind of double pivot, how is he going to fare in that kind of situation? I think Skips would be fine. I think Bentancur, players like that would be fine. If Ndombele is asked to do this role here that Maddison's doing, I think you can do it. If he's asked to do this role that Skip's doing, then all of a sudden you've got big question marks.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone's heard our Ndombele debates, and I think that I just don't know how he's going to fit into an Ange system. Apart from on the ball, we all know he can do it.
Yeah, but when you have 70% possession.
Yeah, I mean 70% possession against this West Ham team. Are we going to have it on a more consistent basis? First, you got to remember that this West Ham team had a lot of teenagers in it as well, and on top of that, they didn't press us and they kind of let us have the ball. It's not going to be like that for the majority of times.
Yeah, that's true. But you need players who can keep the ball out in Ndombele.
Yeah, but we also have got players who can keep the ball, but can also do the work rate off the ball as well, and that's what we need from our midfielders.
That's true. So look, it is a big question mark. I'm not gonna lie, of course it is. When judging what we've seen from Ndombele off the ball since he's come to Tottenham, that's the biggest question mark. But putting him, if I'm just imagining him in this, like on the ball in that system, how he would open up space for his teammates as well and make it even more effective. That system. I think
Ndombele in a game like that against West Ham, where literally they didn't really want to take the ball, they let us have the ball. Ndombele in those kind of games would be fine. It's the other games which you're going to worry about him massively. And can we keep paying those 200 grand a week wages and keeping on the books for just like that many games a year? I don't know.
Maybe.
I really don't think so, man. I think it's just a waste of a spot in the squad.
I disagree. I think what you get... Anyway, this isn't an Ndombele debate, but I think what you get... I think the pros outweigh the cons, in my opinion.
But, all right, we'll get into it in another time. But, I mean, you're talking about pros in very specific games. We need players that can come on and play in all sorts of games.
Not just specific games.
It is.
It's not.
Why not?
Because I think he can be good when a team presses us as well.
I think he'll be good in terms of how press resistant he is, but can he actually impact the game and keep going off the ball all game like Ange needs his players to do?
Okay, maybe not all game, but he doesn't need it all game because he'll get subbed off after 60 minutes. You've got 5 subs.
All right. What else? What's next?
That's it. No, that's it. That's basically, look, it is a fairly brief, it's like a deeper look into a first look at Ange ball. That's basically what we saw over the first game. I think it was interesting to see the setups like very clearly there from what we were told we were going to see under Ange ball. I think we're definitely starting to see that already. I definitely think it was a bit more effective in the second half when Richarlison was able to stretch the play a bit and create a bit more space. But it's starting to take shape already, and just by the little we've seen, that's basically proof of like why. It's going to be a lot more exciting under Ange Postecoglou because you can see there for yourself, we're committing players forward, we're taking risk. Yes, we're going to get caught out, but I think it's risk reward, and I think football sometimes rewards the braver team.
Yeah, let's hope so. To dare is to do. That's what they say.
Exactly.
But in terms of us only having this short sample size, I mean, I, for one, are so pleased that you see this clear vision and clear way of playing so soon after. Like, he'd only had like a week with the team, and the international players only had about 3 days. So I think it's unbelievable. I don't remember seeing a manager come in and imprint a game style and a game plan so quickly than maybe Ange Postecoglou. Because you remember when Pochettino come in, I mean, we saw things early on, but not this quickly. Never this quickly.
I remember in the pre-season on the Poch, it was very muddled, the approach. It wasn't very clear. Yeah, we won a few games, but there wasn't very a clear way of playing. Like, we didn't see that high pressing that he's so known for in his pre-season. And I remember under Nuno, it's actually very rare that a manager is new in pre-season. For Tom, they usually get sacked mid-season and then come in. But I remember Nuno had a pre-season. There was no very clear way of playing. But
Nuno never had a clear way of playing.
But it's only been, as you say, a week, and you can clearly see the structures there. The structures starting to take shape. Players are learning that system, and we're starting to see what Ange's ideas are. And I'm sure it's only going to be more. It's going to flourish even more, with more time.
All right, so there you have it. That is our take from the first look at Ange Ball in that 3-2 loss against West Ham. Let us know your thoughts on Ange Ball so far. Put it down in the comment section below. And thank you, everyone, for joining us today. We'll see you all very soon. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.